Hi and welcome to Personyze. Today we'll demonstrate creating a segment and an action on the website personalizedemo.com, which is a simple e-commerce site that we've established in order to demonstrate some of the features in Personyze. So to do that, we'll have to go to the profiler section of Personyze, which is where all the segments and actions are being configured. Now we'll click on the Add New Segment area. And now we're inside the new segment form. We'll type a name. Let's say shopping cart total less than $100 and from Arizona. Now what we're trying to do here is obviously find all the visitors to the website that have less than $100 in their shopping cart, and they are from Arizona. Now the way to do that is by defining conditions that simply look for that criteria. So we'll click the Add Condition button. We'll just type in a name, say cart total less than $100, where the hand icon is. We'll select the appropriate metric as containers. The type of the container is grab HTML, which essentially means that it's a page element. It's a certain div within the page that stores values, and we've pre-configured that as part of the containers section of Personyze. But to see how to configure containers, simply go to the Create Containers video. Now select the name of the container that we want, which is cart total amount. That's the name we've given the shopping cart value container previously, and select the value, define the value to be less than $100. Now we shall define how many times that happened. So we should just specify happened is greater than or equal to 1. So as long as it happened once, that visitor will be classified as part of that condition. And in terms of when it happened, we should specify current or previous page, which is essentially now. So that's it. We've created our first condition. Now we'll move on and create the second condition, which we will name from Arizona. We'll select the metric containers once again. The type of the container will be text input. Text input is used for capturing user fields. And select the cart selected state as the container name from which we want to import the values. We should now specify the actual condition, the condition criteria. The condition criteria for this container should be contains, and the value will be AZ as in Arizona. In terms of how many times it happened, we'll just specify greater than or equal to 1, just like we did before. And when it happened is during this page visit. Okay, now we've got two conditions that are defined and specify the criteria. We now have to specify or set the relationship between the two conditions. To do that, we'll click the Add Function button, which will allow us to set the type of relationship between the two conditions. Now we'll select the type of relationship between the conditions to be an AND, so both conditions have to be met in order for the visitor to qualify to be part of that segment. And now we'll select the relevant conditions just following that AND. Okay, now that we've done that, the next step is setting the sequence in which Personyze will check the conditions criteria. We need to set the sequence, the segment, to check whether both conditions are met at the same time. And to do that, we select F1, as in the function where both the A1 condition and the A2 condition have to be met simultaneously. After doing that, we'll move on to the settings area of the segment creation form, where we will set the segment life duration to be once. This means that the segment and its associated action will occur once. We'll leave the multiple reoccurrence per visit checkbox checked, which means that if the same scenario repeats itself during the visit, the same action will be executed. If you'll hover with your mouse cursor above the book icon, which sits right next to the save button, you'll be able to see a summary of the segment criteria that we've just created, just for you to inspect before you actually save and continue. Now click Save, and after clicking Save, make sure that you can see the newly created segment in the segment list. You can now enter it again by clicking the segment name. And now let's click on Linked Action Group, which is just one of the tabs at the very top. Linked action groups are actually groups of action that are linked to the segment, so that once Personyze has a visitor that meets the segment criteria, those actions in those action groups will be executed for them. Let's give the action group a meaningful name that'll help us refer to it later on, and click Save. By the way, if any menu option is not clear for whatever reason, hover above the question mark sign that sits right next to each option, and you'll be able to see a tooltip that gives you further explanation about that option. Okay, now we've essentially created an action group. Let's add a new action or a few actions into it. As you can see, there are multiple types of actions when you click on the Add New Action button. Those actions allow personalizing practically the entire look and feel, content, and business logic of the site. Let's add an HTML action to get started. Once again, give it a descriptive name, so something like shipments to Arizona message. We'll enter our message into the HTML editor, and we'll just type, say, shipments to Arizona, US require a minimum order of $100. We can directly edit the source code if necessary and remove any HTML tags that are not needed. Okay, that's it. We've done that. Let's specify which containers this action can be executed in. Okay, we'll select Cart Message Panel, which is an area we've pre-configured for the action, or for the text that we've just created to go in. Lastly, let's decide which pages of the website this newly created action will be applicable to by defining a page group. Click on the Add Page Group button. We'll name the group of pages Shopping Cart Pages. And now, in a very similar way to how we define a segment, let's decide on the criteria that a page has to meet in order to belong to the group that we're building. Okay, so we'll add a condition, select full URL. The condition criteria will be contains, and the value will type cart. This means that any URL of the website that contains the word cart will be classified as part of that group we called shopping cart pages. That means we can easily refer to that page group later on, and we only have to do that once. Now, the last bit of information needed is the period of data sending. This relates to the frequency in which pages of the group will be sending status updates to the Personyze server. Because shopping cart is a very critical area of the website, we'll set that as 3 seconds because we want to keep track of what's going on there and making sure the user doesn't have any problems or errors, and we can actually create inline comments. We can now see that the action that is part of the linked action group appears. Let's now test the segment and action on the website itself. To do that, we'll go to personalizedemo.com. It's a nice little e-commerce site that we've set up. Remember, the segment definition was if your shopping cart value is less than $100 and you're from Arizona, display a message saying that the shipment to Arizona requires minimum order of $100. So now we'll simply follow the conditions and try to qualify as part of that segment and see whether the action actually gets executed. So to do that, we'll click add to cart, say phone number 1, which is $80. So click add to cart. After clicking add to cart, you'll be able to see that the payment for payment at the top right corner of the shopping cart is now $80. So now we've fulfilled one of the conditions. Okay, now click the to cart link to go to the shopping cart. In the form, you have state. Select Arizona as your state. And once you've done that, you should wait a maximum of 3 seconds for the message to appear. That's the personalized action that we've created. As we can see, the message is clearly displayed where it was supposed to, and both the segment occurred and the personalization action took place as planned. So yeah, we've been able to do what we set out to do. Now, obviously, there are a lot more options in terms of the actions and the segments that could be configured and linked, but this is only the first step in creating segments and actions.